First up, let's talk about meal planning. It might sound like a chore, but trust me, it's a real money saver. I used to wander aimlessly through the store, tossing things in my cart without a plan. The result? Wasted food and wasted money. But when I started planning my meals for the week, everything changed. Here's a simple trick I use. I keep a big whiteboard in my kitchen. On it, I jot down my grocery list and plan out my meals for the week. This helps me see what I already have and what I need to buy. No more forgotten ingredients or duplicate purchases. Now let's talk about the power of apps. Have you heard of Ibotta? These little gems can put money back in your pocket. I was skeptical at first, but after trying them out, I'm a believer. Ibotta is an awesome money-saving app that allows you to receive rebates for stuff you already buy. I have earned the most money with Ibotta. It's like getting paid to shop for things you were going to buy anyway. But here's the key. Don't let these apps tempt you into buying things you don't need. Stick to your list and only claim rebates on items you were planning to purchase. Now let's tackle the topic of buying in bulk. It can be a great way to save money, but it's easy to go overboard. I've learned to be strategic about it. Before loading up your cart with giant packages, ask yourself, do I have space to store this? Will I use it before it goes bad? And most importantly, is it really a better deal? Here's a tip, always check the unit price. Sometimes those bulk packages aren't the bargain they seem to be. And remember, it's only a good deal if you actually use what you buy. No sense in saving money on a 10-pound bag of potatoes if half of them sprout before you can eat them. One strategy that's worked wonders for me is shopping less frequently. I used to pop into the store every few days, and each time I'd end up with extra items I didn't really need. Now I do a big shop every 2 weeks. It takes a bit more planning, but it's cut down on those impulse buys that can really add up. Before I head to the store, I always check for coupons and deals. There are websites and apps dedicated to coupons that can save you a bundle on everyday items. It only takes a few minutes, but the savings can be significant. Finally, let's talk about getting creative with what you have. I've started freezing older fruits for smoothies instead of letting them go to waste. And when the pantry starts looking a bit bare, I challenge myself to come up with meals using what I already have. By implementing these grocery game changers, I've seen a real difference in my monthly spending. Give them a try, and I bet you'll be surprised at how much you can save without feeling deprived. Remember, it's not about drastic changes. It's about smart, mindful choices that add up over time. Now that we've talked about smart grocery shopping, let's step into the kitchen and cook up some serious savings. Have you ever felt like your kitchen is more of a money pit than a place to create delicious meals? Well, I'm going to share some kitchen wizardry that will change that. First, let's talk about bulk cooking. I know, it sounds like a lot of work. But trust me, it's a game changer. Imagine coming home after a long day and having a homemade meal ready in minutes. Sounds good, right? That's the magic of bulk cooking and freezing meals. Here's how I do it. Every Sunday afternoon, I put on some music and spend a few hours cooking up a storm. Then I portion them out and pop them in the freezer. It's like having my own personal frozen meal section, but healthier and way cheaper than store-bought versions. Now let's talk about those expensive store-bought items. You know, the fancy sauces, dressings, and baked goods that can really add up. Have you ever looked at the price of a jar of pasta sauce and thought, I could probably make that myself? Well, you're right. I started making my own versions of these pricey items, and let me tell you, it's been a revelation. Not only is it cheaper, but it's often healthier too. Plus, there's something really satisfying about whipping up your own salad dressing or tomato sauce from scratch. But what about those nights when you're too tired to cook and takeout is calling your name? That's where my next tip comes in handy. It's all about getting creative with leftovers. I used to be terrible at using up leftovers. They'd sit in the fridge until they were unrecognizable, and then straight into the trash they'd go. But I've learned some tricks to turn those lonely leftovers into delicious new meals. Here's one of my favorite tricks. I call it freezer soup. Throughout the week, I save small amounts of leftover veggies, meats, and grains in a container in the freezer. When it's full, I dump it all into a pot, add some broth and seasonings, and voila! A unique soup every time. It's like a surprise meal, and it costs next to nothing. These kitchen hacks have saved me so much money, and they've made cooking more fun too. It's like being a chef and a magician all at once. You're turning simple ingredients into delicious meals and watching your savings grow at the same time. Now that we've explored some kitchen wizardry, let's talk about a simple rule that can transform your spending habits. Have you ever bought something on impulse, only to regret it later? We've all been there. But what if I told you there's an easy way to avoid those buyer's remorse moments and save money in the process? Enter the 24-hour rule. It's a game changer when it comes to mastering mindful spending. The concept is simple. Whenever you're tempted to buy something, especially if it's not on your planned shopping list, wait 24 hours before making the purchase. This little pause can make a big difference in your spending habits. Here's how it works. Let's say you're browsing online and spot a cute dress you think you need. Instead of clicking Buy Now, close the tab and wait a day. You might be surprised how often you forget about that must-have item after a good night's sleep. But what about when you're out shopping? I've got a trick for that too. Try keeping your wallet in the back seat of your car. It sounds silly, but it works. When you have to make an extra effort to get your money, you're less likely to make those spontaneous purchases. Another strategy I found helpful is scheduling my shopping trips for times when I'm in a rush. It might seem counterintuitive, but when you're pressed for time, you're less likely to wander the aisles picking up things you don't need. Now let's talk about the difference between wants and needs. It's easy to confuse the two, especially when we're bombarded with ads telling us we need the latest gadget or fashion item. Here's a simple way to think about it. Needs are things like rent, food, and utilities, the basics that keep you healthy and housed. Wants are everything else, those nice-to-have items that make life more enjoyable but aren't essential. I find it helpful to keep a spending journal. It doesn't have to be fancy, just jot down what you buy each day. After a week or two, you'll start to see patterns. Maybe you're spending more on coffee shops than you realized, or perhaps those little online purchases are adding up. Here's a quote that really resonated with me. Take full advantage of the 24 to 48-hour waiting period when you're getting ready to buy something. Put it in your cart, let it sit, take a beat, take a breath, go back to it 1, 2, 7, 28 days later and see if it's something that you really need. It's amazing how often we realize we don't actually need something after giving it some time. One last tip. Before making a purchase, think about how many hours you'd need to work to pay for it. Is that new gadget worth 2 days of work? Sometimes, putting it in those terms can really put things into perspective. Remember, the goal isn't to never buy anything fun or enjoyable. It's about making sure your spending aligns with your values and financial goals. By implementing the 24-hour rule and being more mindful about your purchases, you'll likely find that you're saving money without feeling deprived. So, next time you're tempted to make an unplanned purchase, why not give the 24-hour rule a try? You might be surprised at how much you can save and how much easier it becomes to resist those impulse buys. Now that we've mastered mindful spending, let's talk about something that might seem counterintuitive at first. Have you ever thought that having less stuff could actually lead to more savings? It's true. Today, we're going to explore how decluttering can be a powerful tool in your frugal living toolkit. When I first started my frugal journey, I was surprised to discover just how much my clutter was costing me. Not just in terms of space, but actual dollars and cents. You see, when our homes are overflowing with stuff, it's easy to lose track of what we have. How many times have you bought something, only to find out later that you already had one buried in a drawer somewhere? This is where the magic of decluttering comes in. By keeping our homes organized, we can easily find and remember what we already have. This simple act can prevent so many unnecessary purchases. But decluttering isn't just about avoiding duplicate purchases. It's also about turning your clutter into cash. I was amazed at how much money I made when I started selling items I no longer needed. Platforms like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and Poshmark are great for this. That dress you bought on impulse and never wore, someone else might love it. Those old video games gathering dust, they could be worth more than you think. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Fintuber, organizing takes so much time. I get it. That's why I've developed a system that works for me, and I think it could work for you too. I call it the utility drawer method. The idea is simple. Keep items in designated places. For example, I have a drawer just for things like tape, scissors, and batteries. This way, I always know where to find them when I need them. Remember, decluttering isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. But don't let that overwhelm you. Start small, maybe tackle one drawer or one closet at a time.